been organizing this traditional medicine conference for the past 2 years, but as we all know that because of the corona, that we could not meet in person, so we are having a live session through webinar. I think I also congratulate the team for organizing this meeting because I'm also one of the organizing committee members. Okay, so have a nice evening. I'm going to give a talk for like probably 15 to 20 minutes. My topic is like everybody has to stick on to the traditional food or the native food for better health. So that's going to be my overall, presentation. Since I had some family emergency, sorry, I could not make any slides. So, but I'll be talking. So you can stop me or you can ask me questions, right? So shall we start? Oh, hello? Hello, can you all hear? Yes, okay. So I'm going to talk about, because this is mainly concerned with health, so I'm going to talk about what's currently happening regarding the coronavirus infection, which is affecting the whole globally or worldwide. And the reason why I want to talk about is I'm actually a viral pathologist and I'm an expertise on HIV, dengue, and we also actually did our efforts on making vaccines for HIV, which is not, which is quite a flop. But, now the coronavirus, which has been, circulating around the world and which is affecting the health. So the health is in a huge crisis right now globally. So as you all know that this coronavirus is a tiny virus, which is going around in the world, affecting the health of the people, the wealth of the people, because it involves a lot of money and causing death, killing a lot of people. This is quite sad, why a tiny virus could kill so many of the people. And I have just, made some statistics, from the WHO or the CDC. The worldwide, the number of cases for corona is 210 million. Believe me or not, it's a huge number. And so it is actually 21 crores in Indian number. If you convert 210 million people who have been affected with the coronavirus, and which is 21 crores in Indian, and the death is 44 lakhs. So that means 4 million people already died because of corona. So how are we going to protect us and what's happening to our health? And I'm also an immunologist. So I just talk about viral immunology, whether it is really helping or the English medicines is helping us or not. Now we all know that we are actually taking vaccines and we got lots and lots of conflicts and conspirational theories regarding the vaccines. So many people they don't even want to take the vaccines because of multiple reasons. So we are not going to talk about that. Now, how are we going to protect us? Because human health, human life is very, very important. Now, vaccines are all given everywhere. And as I told you that there are so many, misinformations going on. In fact, you can also see me in YouTube talking about misinformation and COVID and what is COVID pathology, what are people are supposed to do. And coming to the origin of virus itself is a huge conflict. It's conspirational. Now, we are surprised. Virologists all around the world are surprised what is happening to this virus, why it is getting mutated. Now, as you all know, recently the original coronavirus has been mutated into different variant forms. Now, the current one which is attacking the people is Delta, which is again mutated into Delta plus. Now, what happened to the immunity? Why some people die and why some people recover? Now, as you all know, even in Indian situation, 94 to 95% of the Indian people are recovered from the corona infection, which is a very good news. And 5% of people have already lost their life. Now, what is the difference between this? Why people die, some people die, and why not some? And so how are they able to recover? What is the magic behind the recovery of the corona infection? I can give you an example from my own family. Like a month ago, and my mother, who is 93 years old, she became corona positive. And at the same time, my younger brother, who is only 57 years old, also became corona positive. And I tried my best to save my brother, but I could not save my brother. My brother died because of corona infection at the age of 57, which is quite sad moment for the family, entire family. But I'm so glad that I could save my 92-year-old mother. And so what is the difference? I have been like mentally doing a lot of research and talking about some scientists around the world. People say the age is one of the matters. So people who are above 65 or above 60, they easily get infected coronavirus, which is true or not. And so here I want to actually emphasize one point, immunity, okay? The immune mechanism of an individual helps you to actually recover from the corona infection. And how does it help? And I've done my PhD in immunology. We have been doing a lot of research on cancer immunology, viral immunology, making vaccines, and so many things. So recently, for the past 5-6 years, I have been involved in actually having so much faith and actually confidence, where I can say that the traditional medicines, especially the Indian traditional medicines, can combat the corona infection or any other viral infections. So we have done lots of work on actually dengue virus. As you all know, that there are no prescribed drugs, just like for the corona infection. No vaccine, no prescribed drugs, nothing, you know. People, when they get fever, the symptoms are almost like the corona infection. Fever, sometimes body pain, that's all. So what you do is, you take paracetamol, take complete bed rest. So exactly the symptoms. So what are we all doing? That's what the doctors are advising. Now, since the vaccine have come for the past 2 years, there are no vaccines. So what are people doing? Trying to boost the immunity. Now, how do we actually boost the immunity? In fact, last year, when the first lockdown came, there were not many number of deaths or not many infections in India. So we had a meeting with a scientist. So people are talking, by the time actually the coronavirus, the original coronavirus, when it has gone to Brazil, UK and America, killing a lot of people, but when it reached India, maybe a little delay, the infectivity, that is at what we call is virulence, the virulence of the virus probably has been reduced. So that is why actually the lot of Indians are able to recover and not many deaths. But that is not true when it became the second wave. Second wave has started affecting a lot of actually elderly people and also the children. So we were trying to study, so what is going to help? Instead of actually, of course, people have made a vaccine, which is, I can call it a rush vaccine, which is actually helping. So the more number of cases has reduced, even the admission in the hospital is reduced. So the recovery and also less number of new cases. You can see actually state-wise infection, new infection in India has gone down, which is tremendously a good news. So it is once again a mystery for people, how some people recover and how some people die. And now we are going to talk about how traditional medicines help, okay, the infection of the coronavirus. Now, India, as you all know, that we actually regularly take food, for example, haldi, the turmeric, the garlic, the ginger, chilies, which has got lots of actually, which can actually improve the immunity or it combats any microbial infections. So it is actually our lifestyle taking traditional medicines. But what is happening in the latest years, for the past 10 years, I can say, or to my age, I'm 60, but what's happening? Actually, the Indian food is considered as one of the healthiest food in the world, but not anymore, right? So what's happening? The Indian foods are getting mixed with the other cultures or the Western food, which is actually not suitable for the Indian environment. So I can also say that there are so many McDonald's and, like KFCs and all these actually, like urbanization, when it increases, it brings also a lot of Westernization. So I can say that, so when the traditional food is mixed with, mixed with the Western food, so this is what happens, right? And so I just want to give you a quote. The first wealth is the health. So when you people actually start collecting big assets, I want to buy a home, I want to buy a car, I want to buy a land, or I want to, like collect lots of assets and properties, that's not going to help us. So the first wealth for every human being is the health. So you will all agree with the food we chose also makes a lot of difference. And it's quite interesting that India is multicultural country where every state has its own food. Yes or no? Right? When you come to South India, they have a particular South Indian food. And when you actually go to North India, they have special North Indian foods. So what's happening here? So recently, for last year, we have actually launched a research foundation in South India, where actually we do a lot of research on what are the health benefits by the native foods or the medicinal medicines. How do these traditional foods access the medicines? And what are the food available in the traditionally? And as we all know that, I don't know how many of you live with still with your parents and grandparents. So they even advise you to take all these actually medicinal food. So what are these medicinal foods? What is the power? So the power of the traditional Indian food, and it has got numerous health benefits. So how many of you agree that you still take traditional food? If I actually take a survey, that not many people are still actually sticking on to the traditional foods. And so the variety of foods and the Indian foods, variety of food, the whole world love to eat the Indian food. And it's, first of all, it is healthy. And second thing, I can confidently say it is tasty and it is spicy. And also the dishes are actually native to India. So now think for 1 or 2 minutes, what makes the Indian food one of the most wholesome foods in the world? Can anybody say that, or can anybody think? Even if you go to America, people actually love to go to the Indian restaurants, or any part of the world. People just love the Indian food. Now, recently, that Indian food has become an unhealthy food. Do you know the reason why? Because it is linked with certain Western foods, which is nothing but a high sugar food or high carbohydrate food, which can contribute a high cholesterol in the people. Okay. So the traditional Indian food, however, has to be followed, but it also incredibly tasty. Now, what happens to the Indian food? So Indian foods supports the immunity. It always boosts the immunity. Say, for example, the garlic. I think every food, every dishes we use the garlic. And it also boosts the immunity, and it actually supports the inflammation. The body can repair any by itself, but actually the food we chose, the food we eat automatically actually reduces any inflammation in the body. And very interestingly, it also helps in the brain function, right? The Indian traditional food helps in the brain function and several other functions of the human body. Say, for example, now actually for the past 20 years, we also know that India tops the world in diabetes. So many people have diabetes. So what happened? Why? Because people actually, even the physicians or medical professionals, they advise the diabetic patients, don't eat right, or don't eat actually the high carbohydrate foods. But if you think of our ancestors or our grandparents or great-grandparents, they have been regularly eating the wheat, that is roti or chapati or rice, or the products from the rice, like say in South India, idli, dosa, upma and all that. And even in North India, there are so many varieties of food which is actually made out of the wheat. But now people are actually controlling the diabetic people. To control the diabetes, they say don't take rice. Don't eat more than 2 chapatis or rotis. So why is that? Is there any change in food, or is there any change in the people's attitude? So that's what we have to think about it. So when you think of elaborately the Indian diet, so we have to think a while whether we have to stick on to the Indian food, or we have to change. Now the lifestyle of the people have gone very fast. People travel a lot, people mix with other cultures, and people, move in and out of the house. And so many things happening. So these are the reasons. And also I can say, now it has become a routine in every house of India that we use pressure cooker. Okay, pressure cooker. The pressure cooker, I don't know, probably 20 years. The 20 years, I think the day the pressure cooker arrived in India, which has become a commodity, a common basic commodity for every house, the number of diabetic started coming up. I don't know whether you accept it with me or not, but that is true. The pressure cooker actually keeps all the, the carbohydrate content in the rice. And those days, I'm not sure, in the South India, people actually used to boil the rice and then they strain the excess starch and the carbohydrate. So the eating rice was quite healthy. But that's not happening now. People have very fast life. People are so busy. They have no time to do all those traditional cooking. So we all go for the modern way of cooking, which is affecting our health, right? Now, you can ask me a question. When you eat traditional foods, which is quite elaborate to cook, maybe not many, the younger generations, probably they don't know what traditional food is, or they don't know even how to cook the traditional food. So my advice is, you have to learn about the traditional foods, right? And that is the best diet. You have to learn from your previous parents or grandparents. Now, what is the secret? What is the magic behind the traditional foods, right? Believe me or not, it has got less calories and it has been helpful in the weight control or the weight loss. And those days, I never heard of or never seen many people are obese. I think even the previous speaker talked about the obesity and laser treatment and all that. So the technology has gone up in diagnosis and all the testing facilities, right? But when it comes to actually the medical practitioner or actually the drug involvement, actually though the technology is there, but there are a lot of disadvantages, because every allopathy medicines you consume, there is also lots of side effects. Okay, you can buy a medicine, they'll give you a small leaflet, you can read. There is actually the more than the benefits, you can read the more actually the side effects. So now let us go back to the traditional foods. Okay, the diet, the best diet. Like, what are the benefits? As I told you, less calories, which is helpful for weight control. And believe me or not, it is less saturated fat. Okay, and it is giving a good health for the heart. Now, the heart attack. How many of us actually, now we are hearing about the heart attack? Oh, my uncle was just, like sitting there and talking. He was quite normal and he died. He had a heart attack. Anybody who dies now recently, the doctor says heart attack. We never heard about heart attacks 20 or 30 or 50 years ago. How did all this actually, the health ailments come up all of a sudden, right? Because of the traditional foods, which has got the less saturated fat. Okay, when I talk about fat, it is cholesterol. And when I talk about cholesterol, as we all know, that is good cholesterol and the bad cholesterol. So the traditional foods, the way it has been cooked, the food, variety of food which has been chosen for the family, the mothers or grandmothers or great grandmothers, they just prepare for the family with the less saturated fat, which is quite healthy, which is actually improves the overall the health. Okay, now, and also when it comes to, like, we in Indians, we have a vegetarian days and non-vegetarian days, and even during the non-vegetarian days, it is believed the ancestors, they choose the healthy meat. They call it a lean meat or the seafood. Okay, when you go to West Bengal and some of the South Indian states like Kerala, they eat lots of seafood. Okay, so which is quite high protein. It is a high protein food. And most of the Indian food, the vegetarian food, they got the spinach. Okay, the greens. Okay, so what does the green has? It has got iron, right? So iron is useful for the muscles as well as for the blood. Okay, the iron carries the oxygen. Okay, now actually, as we all know, that one of the major symptoms or the sign for corona infection is lack of iron. And actually the lung is not able to store or they don't have the capacity to store the oxygen. Okay, that is why people actually go for short breath and they have to give the oxygen supply to recover or to get a better supply of oxygen, right? This is because the iron rich food is kind of disappearing, or we are not actually included in our daily diet. Okay, and then the zinc. And so I don't know how many of you has heard of the prescribed medicines for the corona. That is iron, antibiotic, paracetamol, and also zinc. Okay, so the zinc has got actually it heals the wound, and also it fights the infection and actually improves the immunity, right? And so the doctor, they prescribe for all the corona patients the zinc. Okay, so what are the zinc rich foods? Okay, so are we eating that, or all the vegetables, the cabbage and the radish and all those, they get high content of zinc. But nowadays, actually, if you go to the doctor, they give her zinc tablet, which is not necessary, because we are forgetting, or we are going away from cooking the traditional foods. And the most important thing is, most of the vegetables, even the meat, it has got what? All the different varieties of vitamins, right? So vitamins, it's good for vision and hearing, and the building up the immunity. Now we have all other alternative foods. Even for morning breakfast, people are actually taking up the Western food like sandwiches, or I saw in a shopping mall this wheat bix. I lived in Pacific country for the past 11, 12 years. The morning breakfast is actually, they have a small, like a bar, it's called wheat bix. They mix it with the milk and eat, that's all. So it has come to India, all the cereals and wheat bix and all that. So where is our traditional breakfast? Upuma, idli, dosa, the chapati and roti with vegetables and ghee, it's all disappearing, right? And most of the vitamins, their main function is to improve the immunity. Since the immunity is slowly going down, or we are losing the immunity, so that is why there are a lot of infection coming up. And now another one is calcium. Okay, calcium for strong bones and for teeth. So as I told you, the traditional food and its diet, the way it is cooked and the way it is consumed is culturally dependent. Okay, as I told you earlier, that India is a multicultural country with multi foods or multi cuisine, right? So what do? If you come to South, even among the South Indians, we have actually different kinds of foods. And you go to North India, extremely, right, different, and all this food. So this is what we have to take care. And I advise each and every participants, you can pass on the message that we have to stick on to our traditional food. And so we have to choose the traditional food. There are varieties of traditional food available in the market, but we only ignore, right? So my advice is actually to choose the traditional foods, prepare good traditional diet, and for better health and for improving the immunity. Okay, so thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Hello?
Yeah, hello,
Hello?
Dr. Santha.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for your great presentation. If someone is having any question, they can ask here. Your
Any
presentation was
questions?
very informative, I think, for all.
Yeah, okay.
Any question from other participants?